Welcome to Donegal Presbyterian Church. I am Portia Brian, and I am inviting you to join us for a series of food videos which will be based on the upcoming cookbook called Donegal Dishes. Food has been an integral part of Donegal Presbyterian Church from its inception in the early part of the 1700s and remains so today. The committee for the celebration of the 300th year anniversary has prepared a cookbook with the submission from the church community of more than 300 recipes. These recipes include both traditional and family recipes of Donegal. Throughout these video presentations, we will be sampling some of these recipes with Chef Phil Landis and other guests. From the earliest days, when church services lasted an entire day, a meal was served at the noon hour. Fellowship and sharing of food continues to this day after Sunday services. The church lives of our congregants are enriched as food plays an important role in things such as celebrations, potluck dinners, fundraisers, and the like. Certain foods, such as the Montgomery pies, have become a signature dish of Donegal. From the Scots-Irish culinary traditions of our earliest Donegal settlers, we, the present-day Donegal Presbyterians, wish to share our traditions through breaking of the bread with our brothers and sisters. Easter at Donegal has many memories, such as Easter sunrise services by the spring, Easter breakfast, the Easter egg hunt, and the beautiful Easter windows. Our cookbook will have a this and that section, and Peg will share with you how to make Easter eggs with natural ingredients as they would have been done 300 years ago.
Some people still make the Easter eggs the way they were done in the past, and actually they're probably better because eggshells are porous, and some of the dyes we get from the grocery store today can leak through, and children who have allergies to certain dyes, that's not healthy. So we go back to the original dyes. And I did some here, and it was very interesting. You do need a lot of patience, whereas with our dyes today that we buy, we dip it in, leave it in for a few seconds, take it out, and our eggs are colored, and we can work with it. These we need to leave in the dye, preferably overnight. The longer you leave them in, the deeper the colors will be. So if you want a yellow color, you need to get your turmeric and measure about 1 tablespoon into 2 cups of water, bring it to a boil, then add let it cool down, then add 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and after it has cooled down, you take your egg and put it in the mixture. I find that using a small canning jar works very well for holding the dye and the egg. So turmeric will give you a nice yellow color. If you want pink, you're going to use beets that you shred. Again, the same way, you bring 2 cups of water to a boil, put in about 2 cups of shredded beets, let it boil for 20 to 30 minutes, then take it off the stove, let it cool down, add your 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and you're all set to put your eggs in. For blue, this is the interesting one, especially for children, because you would think that if you chopped up red or purple cabbage and put it in the water, again, 2 cups of cabbage, it would turn a nice red. they turn blue. If you want more of a marble blue, use a couple of cups of blueberry in the water. Red or purple are perfect for your onion skins. Your yellow onion skins will give you a nice red, purplish color. For orange, the red and purple are with the red onion skins, and for orange, you want your yellow onion skins. Again, 2 cups of those in your water, and then go through the process again. Let them soak in there overnight, and you'll come out with some lovely Easter eggs. Have fun. Use a lot of patience as you do this.
Greetings. Welcome to the DPC 300 group, and I am Phil Landis. As a member of Donegal Presbyterian Church for about 35 years, I've witnessed an amazing group of cooks over that time, and it's an honor to be part of this cookbook, which helps commemorate our 300th anniversary of continuous worship at this place in East Donegal Township, Pennsylvania. We wish to build on the amazing cookbooks brought to us in 1971 and 1986. And with this video, we launch a series of demos of actual recipes that are in the book. Today, we feature some of the breakfast casseroles that have been served at annual Easter breakfasts. And we offer a simple crockpot dish that you may serve after your Easter services. Our book features recipes that will help with your meal planning. Our videos will include tips on variations, modifications that you can make to tailor a recipe to what you have on hand or personal taste. Over 75 members and friends of Donegal have submitted recipes for our book. Our first recipe today is going to be classic Eggs Benedict. The key component of that, as all historians agree, is the Hollandaise. So we're gonna dive right into the Hollandaise. I can catch you up on some of the history as we go. I've already got 2 egg yolks, some seasonings in there. I'm gonna add the lemon juice, and then we're gonna go onto our double boiler. This goes really quick. Get a little bit of the cream from the butter in that already. But Hollandaise is an emulsion sauce. We have already prepared clarified butter, because once this egg is cooked and whipped, we're going to add the clarified butter to it. We're going to have our sauce. The other ingredients were sea salt and cayenne pepper. On the Eggs Benedict, okay, we are there. Now, we finish the emulsion by gradually pouring in our clarified butter. Now we're down to the milk solids we're going to hold up. All right, we're going to put that aside. Ms. Peg is busy working on our muffins. We are using today both whole wheat and white muffins, and we're going to continue the process along here. I'm going to get rid of my steaming liquid. And we're going to move to the main event here. So we're going to bring the poaching liquid together here. We're gonna start getting the rest of the things together. What we have here, I'll let that get a little bit warm. We're going to do what goes on the bases of the muffins, which classically is ham or Canadian bacon. Some variations call for bacon, so we're going to make a sample there. But for the vegetarians out there in the audience, we're also going to very briefly show a spinach option so that you're not left out in the cold. We made this beautiful Hollandaise sauce. I know none of you are going to do that, so there are things like this, hide the brand here, that you can use. It still comes out real nice. You can also use a cheddar cheese sauce. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. So I don't know how many of you know about this cooking method called poaching, but that is a critical part of our classical Eggs Benedict. So I have this water started. It is right now approximately 188 degrees. Prize from anyone in the audience who can say what poaching temperature is. Time's out. It is anywhere between 160 and 180 is your poaching temperature. You see the bubbles adhering to the base of the pan. I am adding just a small amount of white vinegar, which will help as we cook the eggs for that to help the protein coagulate. And so we're going to just get right on started here. I have my pan here. Get a couple slices of ham going in here. And to start the eggs, everything goes very, very quickly. And we will have ourselves ready to put these together very, very soon. So we have our ham coming along nicely. And we're going to get our first eggs in this water. So we're going to get our ham base for our muffins here. Let's see how quickly we can get some kind of a little spinach preparation going. I'm just going to throw all the spinach right down in this pan, and I'm going to flash it with a tiny bit of water. The eggs are moving right along. This takes a couple minutes. I'm trying to cook this dry, so they wanted to get some steam going with the spinach. And why not? A little bit of red pepper, tiny bit of salt. Let that dry out. We're going to have enough to do 2 of these. That was just 1 handful of spinach. Very nice. Okay, so I have my spoon here. I'm going to loosen some of these eggs. The challenging thing with Eggs Benedict in general is you are working with an egg sauce that is in the danger temperature zone when you finish it. You're working with poached eggs that when you're finished with them, they're in the danger temperature zone again, and you have runny egg yolks. So you have to be very careful with this. You never could let these sit around. These need to be eaten immediately. Thus, they are not at all appropriate for a takeout menu. Don't get Eggs Benedict in takeout. We've served them at our brunch here for Easter at Acorn Farms for quite a few years. Unfortunately, we won't be doing that this year, but all right, so these are getting very close. take another closer look here. Yes, we're there. So we're gonna one by one move these over to the muffins. Ms. Peg has crisped these muffins so beautifully that we want to make sure they don't get soggy on us as we do the poached egg in there. So that takes care of that pretty quickly. Next one. If you have a whole lot of egg white that's just hanging on, you can trim that off. So we're gonna put a nice dollop of the Hollandaise on each one of these. We're just gonna have enough for the 6 of these right now. That will run down through there. We're going to cut one of these in half. Check that out. The nice egg yolk runs. That is going to be delicious. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to continue on with the video. Ham and Eggs Brunch, contributed by Joanne Myers. So we get started by pulling our ingredients together, and in this case, I've diced some English muffins in place of the bread that Joanne recommends, but it works well because we're going to soak this whole thing overnight. Then we continue on with some peppers and onions. We've measured out the ham, the cheese, the milk, the eggs. We have some seasonings and butter. While we have that started, we're going to get the vegetables cooking. We cook the vegetables together. If you have a nice nonstick pan, you don't even need to put oil into that. Meanwhile, you're also preparing your baking dish. I'm using a spray pan coating as a nonstick in a very nice Corningware baking dish. All of the ingredients now get tossed together in a mixing bowl. That step I don't have a picture of, but trust me, you then pour it all into the baking dish. I like to wipe around the edge because if you have a little egg stain there on the edge, that's going to burn and turn and be difficult to clean. Then that dish gets placed in your refrigerator. That gets soaked overnight. Anytime in the morning, you're going to come in your preheated oven, 350 degrees. It needs to bake for an hour. Check your oven temperature. If your oven runs hot, you may need to put a piece of foil over it at the end so it doesn't get too brown. But in our final slide, you see how nice that looks. It's great. And the nicest part about that is if you have any leftovers, you can cut that in some pieces. You can take it into work, heat it up in the microwave. It's an awesome mid-morning snack. Thank you for tuning in. If you will be spending your Easter morning at church, you may want to consider this crock-pot dish that you can start early in the morning before you leave and have ready to go when everyone is home. This ham hock dish is submitted by my mother, Phil Landis. I have modified the dish because I used a bone-in ham that was on sale this week. So we're changing the recipe a little bit. We don't have to add as much liquid as is in the recipe that you see in the Donegal book. So I always like to trim the fat off of the ham because if you don't, it's going to end up in a slick on the top of the crock pot by the time you're done with this. So take a little time, remove the ham very carefully, and then start to prepare your potatoes. This time around, I happen to have some green beans that we had frozen earlier in the year. So they are essentially cooked. And so the recipe, I believe, that's in the book calls for raw beans, which are placed into the crock pot at the beginning of the process. So we're doing a couple things a little bit differently. But I always give the crock pot a start on high setting for a period of time. but I very rarely leave it on high if I am going out to church or off to work or whatever. So in this case, we're not going to add those green beans until we get home, and we're just going to have to take an extra couple of minutes and add them in to the crock pot. But as you see, as we proceed on, that ham has become so tender. It is going to be so delicious. We're pulling the bones out of that roast. If you're using the ham hocks, it's a very similar thing. You're just going to pull the bones aside. You're going to discard them. We like to transfer everything into a little bit of a serving dish. You can put it all together in one. If you want to separate out your potatoes and green beans, you may certainly do that. But you'll be so glad when you get home that you had this started. And again, don't be afraid to make some substitutions, and happy Easter. Now, in our next video, we're going to sample some spring recipes, and we're going to look at some traditional dishes that have been served at the church's strawberry festivals of the past. In future editions, we're going to explore dishes served at annual Donegal Society reunions and much, much more. Thanks for tuning in. Baked oatmeal. Today, I'm bringing you recipes that have been combined from 4 different authors. Each one has either a single batch or a double batch that all follow the same basic recipe. One follows a reduced sugar path, and 2 of them follow a reduced fat path by eliminating sugar and substituting applesauce. So let's dive in here. Again, we're putting our ingredients together. Some recipes call for ready to cook quick oats. I find that with this overnight recipe, that either type of oats works just fine. And you see the other ingredients. I'm using the applesauce instead of the oil. We have our eggs, we have our baking powder. Very important the baking powder be fresh. The milk and everything else. I chose to use, well, because I had them on hand, some really nice golden delicious apples. We've peeled them, we've diced them, and we've set them aside. We're going to continue by mixing most of the ingredients together. The cinnamon needs to be very, very well mixed because you don't want clumps of cinnamon in certain parts of your dish. We're going to fold those apples in now and make sure they're very well coated and mixed throughout the oatmeal. I'm using pan spray in a metal baking dish, and so make sure you get that well coated. We're going to put that oatmeal in there, and then, as I said, this is an overnight dish, so hopefully you're making this on Saturday night if you're going to use it on Sunday morning. At least give it a couple hours. It goes into the oven, 350 degrees, and it depends on what you've used as your fruit, how long this is going to take. It could take up to 45 minutes, but if you've used something that doesn't really need cooked, it could be as short as 30 minutes. You need to check it. As always, if it looks like it's going to burn, put a piece of foil on top of it so that it does not. This dish, if you have some leftovers, put it in the refrigerator, maybe even cut it up in some small pieces. Really makes a nice little afternoon snack. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy. Brunch Strata with Sausage by Marge Keene. Again, pulling our ingredients together, we've got sausage, we've got cheddar cheese, we've got bread, eggs, milk. Again, this is an overnight dish. So as you see, we're pouring all of those things together. We're whipping our milk into the egg. Again, getting that all oven ready. And then you just pause that process and it spends the night in the refrigerator. In the morning, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And this dish will take 50 minutes to bake. And again, this is an amazing dish, even used the next day. So refrigerate your leftovers. If you want to get fancy, you can cut it into nice little squares, wrap it in plastic. You have it all ready for going to work the next day. Enjoy. Tater Tot Casserole by Teresa Rouse. Putting some ingredients together here, I've chosen some very lean ground beef. I've gotten a pack of frozen tater tots. We are using a can of cream of mushroom soup. You probably could also use cream of chicken if you liked. And we have grated cheese. I had skepticism initially about this recipe because it is all baked together in a raw state. So it's especially important that you use very lean ground beef or this dish could end up tasting a little fatty. So I have everything mixed together. Once that's mixed together, you spread the tater tots over it and into the oven it goes. And you're doing a 350-degree oven. And the recipe calls for 90 minutes of baking time. My personal experience was it didn't quite take that long. My oven might have been a little hotter than yours. It tasted wonderful because we used the lean beef. It was not fatty at all. I might consider incorporating some other seasonings in with it if I make it again. Try it out and enjoy.